The Asian Champions Trophy has begun in Chennai. In fact, it has already started with the reigning champions South Korea playing a 2-1 win against Japan. And even while we speak, Malaysia is playing against Pakistan. Now, the big game of the evening is undoubtedly India versus China, and we'll have a go at that too later. And even before the tournament began, the Malaysia and the Korean coach did have a problem about timings. They felt that why was India slotted at 8:30 p.m., which is supposedly a more comfortable time slot than the 4 p.m. Heat and humidity of Chennai, where most of the Korean matches would be played. So let's look at all these questions and also how important is this tournament in the run-up to the Asian Games, where the winner gets a direct entry into the Paris 2024 Olympics, and that's a very important point to remember. My guests today are Siegfried Eichmann, also very well known as Siggy. I'll call him Siggy. The reigning Asian Games champion coach. And when he took Japan to the 2018 AG title, then he was coach with Pakistan and now chief coach of the Oman national team. I have Van Housen, who represented Malaysia at the 84 Olympics as a player and is a former coach of the Malaysian national team and the man who took them to the 2010 Asian Games silver and the 2018 Asian Games silver again. Sandeep Mishra will be joining me, and he is the NNI sports editor, also a hockey specialist. We are also very happy to have Romeo James joining us. He is the India's LA 1984 goalkeeper and also former India coach, major celebrity in his own right in India. So very warm welcome to all of you. Stephen, let me begin this show with you. Let's ask you about Malaysia. And since the first match is underway against Pakistan, now do you agree with your national coach, Arul, who said that Malaysia should have played in Europe rather than playing at the ACC? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, originally their plans when they start preparing for the Asian Games, I think they scheduled a tour to Europe around this time, and when they had the Asian Champions Trophy, they had to change their plans and then quickly schedule a four match tour to Korea. I think it depends on what he wants, but obviously it is what it is. I mean, it's in the calendar. Asian Hockey has already organized a tournament. It looks like it's a curtain you get a dress rehearsal before the Asian Games. There is the plus, there's a minus. The plus is that you can look at your opponents leading to the Asian Games. Of course, the scheduling 5 weeks before the Asian Games, I think the fear for all coaches will be injuries, major injuries to their key players. That's my views here. Yeah.
Sigi, coming to you, would you like to comment on this time slot business? Because isn't it a host prerogative, since India is the host, that they pick a time? And also the second most important point is 8:30 p.m. is a prime time slot in India, and a lot of people would tune in onto their handheld devices, onto TV. So if India plays, then it's good for hockey, or you feel it's being unfair to the fourth time slot?
It's a format we play, we use long time. So I think it's not something to complain about. It's a fact. And if the tournament was in Malaysia, then Malaysia would have the benefit. If it's in Korea, Korea has the benefits. So this is normal for us.
Right.
And we have to deal with it. It's we need to sell our product as well, and we need full stands, and you can have the guarantee for that, and also the TV watchers. So I think it's a reasonable choice from Asian Hockey Federation, and yeah, it's maybe not so fair, but what is fair in sports? Huh?
Sandeep, your reaction to the 8:30 p.m. slot?
No, I honestly don't understand the reason why the coach said that, because, my mind immediately goes back to the Asian Games in 2014. I think at that point of time, Korea played all the last matches. But as Stephen was pointing out the Azlan Shah timings, I also want to point out one uh, uh, particular point. I think in a couple of Azlan Shah matches, if India Pakistan played the last match, which is the last match of the day, Malaysia played the 6 p.m. slot. And the reason was very simple. For an India Pakistan match, you had a house full. Not that Malaysia would have had anything less, but the TV timings and the TV commercials back in India, because Star or anybody else was telecasting it. That's the reason why India played last and Malaysia, being the host, played a match earlier. So for Korea to say that they're going to be playing 4 p.m. and why is India playing at 8:30 p.m.? Yes, honestly, it's a point. It can be picked up by any coach. It can be said. It can be debated. But at the end of it, the host is the main player out there, in a sense that they are the ones who hold the timing. And if India wants to change the timings, honestly, they can, even, if they want to, as hosts. But to say that why is India playing at 8:30 p.m., I think I wouldn't say ignorant. I think he's just picking a point. That's all. There's nothing much to it.
Romeo James, let's talk about the Indian side. And most of the places seem well settled now, and especially they are back from a tour of Spain, so they had enough time to evaluate their side. But there is a question mark still on our celebrity goalie Srijesh, and particularly there are issues about his age and fitness. So, what is your personal view of Srijesh being on that flight to the Paris Olympics if that stage arises? What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. Good evening to everyone. The very fact they are playing Shrijesh and Pathak after every quarter, so that gives them to get Pathak also, and not much of pressure will be on Shrijesh because he is not playing full 60 minutes. So that in my opinion, the goalkeepers they can play to 33, 34. They keep themselves fit, and Shri has been keeping himself fit. But the very fact that they're rotating Shrijesh and Pathak for the last so many tournaments, I mean, that is surprising, in my opinion.
Okay, Sigi, when let's talk about the your experience with the Pakistan team and your opinion on the coach Mohammad Saklan, and also which is another important point is that almost 9 players have less than 10 caps, and the team hasn't played a single tournament in 2023 up till now. That's the information I have. How do you analyze their progress?
Well, the team, it's a young team with young players, but the team, most of the players, they played Aslan Shah, they played Nation Cup, and that was in December, and 10 of these players also played Junior Asia Cup. So recently, so it's a young team, but they played matches. They have some international experience built up through that, and the other part is that young players adapt new things very quickly. So it's a team in construction, and they need time to grow. And I think that they show that at least they grow. They are able to fight, to develop, to yeah, and it will probably not be good enough for a medal in this tournament, is my opinion, but they will fight for it. And but for in the future, uh, it's promising, especially if you know that Pakistan has another batch of young players also available who are not here because they are not allowed to join the team, but they are good players, and who knows what the Pakistan Association will do in the future, but potential is there.
Okay.
I just want just a question for Aikman. Aikman, just wanted to check with you on the Pakistan coach. Saklain is the coach now. I just wanted to take you back a little. A turbulent career for Saklain, frequently yellow carded, frequently red carded. He was pretty aggressive. He used to wade into players. We've seen all of that happening in the Commonwealth, in the Azlan Shah even. Stephen would also remember Mohammad Saklain. I just wanted to ask you, for a player who was so aggressive on the field, in terms of taking on defenders, in terms of taking on the forwards, do you think all of that changes when he becomes a coach for Pakistan? Or will that aggression help Pakistan do something more?
Well, if you ask me, I don't think that it has anything. As a player, you are totally different than as a coach. So, and your influence on the pitch as a coach is a different one. I think that the, as I know Saklen, he is on the bench. He is calm, and he's not that aggressive like he was when he is a player. So if I see what I have seen him do in Pakistan when I was there, and he was coaching his school team, the no, I haven't seen that aggression. So I don't think that it will have an influence, and because it's a different, it's totally different job. So I think that as a coach, he should be okay for this.
Just extending a question to Romeo. Romeo, when you there are questions about Srijesh as Arup said right now, but when you're going to pick a team, when you pick a team either for the Asian Games or when you pick a team for the Paris Olympics, what do you look for? Are you going to look at the experience that Srijesh brings, or are you going to look at the form that the other goalkeepers can also bring? How do you pick that goalkeeper at that point of time? I'm just asking you because you have the experience of picking goalkeepers.
Yeah, see, Sandeep, for the Olympics, they will surely take one goalkeeper. And
Okay.
if Shrijesh is fit at the time, he will be the first coach. And in between, whatever they want to play, Paka, essentially. But with my experience, uh, I mean, Shri can easily last till this Olympics with his experience and with his fitness level. So he's very serious about his fitness level, about his practice session. Each session he takes is very, very good. So,
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Stephen, coming to you with a question on Malaysia. Now, you have immense experience of not only playing for Malaysia but coaching Malaysia. But what stops them from making it to the top six, considering the fact that they've also had two big names in the past as coaches. One is Terry Walsh, and the other one was Paul Lisek. And you also put in a lot of effort. So, to get to the top six, what should Malaysia do?
I mean, we have always produced good teams, but I think if you look at the hockey now and the present, the difference between the top six and us is quite a big gap. I mean, we won a silver medal in the Commonwealth Games in 1998, and we have qualified Olympics until 2000. That's the last time we qualified Olympics. We have got done well to get to the Asian Games, but I think there's still a big gap. Physically, we are not strong enough to challenge the Europeans. We have the skill, but we don't have the consistency. This batch of players that Arul has at the moment is the last batch that we have for the time being. I mean, these are the generation that Razi and Mahan and Faisal and Fitri, they have won two silver medals and they just have not managed to break through to win the gold medal and to qualify for the Olympics. I think there's a big gap. I mean, if you look at Europe, Belgium, Germany, Holland, Spain, England, GB. Then you look at Australia, you look at India at the moment, number four in the world. These teams are, I think, a bit away from us at the moment. Right now, our job now for Malaysian hockey is to get these boys to believe in themselves to qualify for the Olympics, and then we build on from there.
Right. Figi, we need your comment on the composition of the other teams in the ACT, which is currently going on. You have a Korea, you have a Japan, Malaysia, India, Pakistan, all pushing for their place. And we also know that whoever wins the Asian Games gets an automatic qualifier into the Paris 2024 Olympics. So this championship is, like you also indicated earlier, is pretty interesting to have at this point in time, where each one gauges the other's strengths and weaknesses. Who do you think has the best chance of also picking up the Asian Games title?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in I think that India has the highest ranking. They have a lot of experience on in through the pro leagues and tournaments they recently played. But I think that Korea is also a well prepared team, and Korea have shown in the recent history that when it comes to important tournaments, they always perform. Like the World Cup, they performed. Like the Aslan Shah, they performed. They are at the moment the holder of the Asian Champions Trophy. They perform. Asia Cup, they perform. So I think, and they have an experienced team. I saw a few youngsters there as well who can do the dirty work. So I think that actually uh, Korea and India will be the finalists, the top teams, and then Malaysia, Pakistan, and Japan will fight for the two other positions. And those teams are in development, but Malaysia is a long time in development, and I wonder if they are able to make the final steps because if you look at their matches, it's more or less the same. And if it comes to creativity, it's something which is lacking a little bit. And the other teams, they have sometimes the sparkle of some players who can do magic. And that's what you need, uh, including a good structure, of course. So I think that in Asia at this moment, Korea and India are the best teams, and the three other teams are almost equally strong, and it depends on the shape of the day.
Okay, that's an interesting point to make. Romeo James, coming to you. I have an India-specific question to you. That India does play different patterns and systems now under the new coach Craig Fulton. There is this chat that India is adopting a more stronger defensive style of play. According to you, will that work, or should it be tweaked further?
Yeah, what it says is the coach is more defensive, and what little we saw in full league because I think the whole game and the Spanish this thing 100 anniversary thing. Uh, it's a very fast way. He played well in defense also and in attack also, and it again back to back match tournaments are there right
Right.
now. It depends again when they will when they will be able to peak at the right time for the Asian Games because this support is totally what they are saying. And what he's saying that he's more defensive, first is defense and then attack. But in my opinion, we have always been good in attack. The previous coach also, and the previous one, they have been playing a different attack. So it's an interesting thing to watch and to see.
Okay.
Players will go from defense to attack.
Sandeep, over to you for your assessment on this, on Craig Fulton's strategy, also on this defensive ploy, and if you would like to have a direct chat with your friends also on the panel.
No, I just go back to how Craig played in the 2004 Olympic Games. He was a player at that point of time. And even then, the entire South African team, I still remember, was pretty defensively structured, even though they took a lead of 2-0 against India, with Craig probably scoring one. But the point is now Craig probably revolves his team around the players that he has. I don't know if Stephen and Eichmann have noticed it. They might have. Um, I think they probably have done is that Surinder Kumar is not in the defensive line anymore, which also means that he's probably looking at somebody who can counterattack pretty fast. I think on those bases and looking at the way he's probably, I saw the matches that happened in Spain recently, low scoring games, heavily structured in the defense, breaking out once in a while on the counter attack. I think that probably is going to be the ploy, probably going to be the tactic or the strategy that Craig is going to employ. It probably works in a way, but I do wonder whether this is a long term strategy that can probably work against European teams or not. But again, he's coming from a background where he's coached the Ireland team pretty efficiently, and he has used the same strategy when he took them to the bronze medal in the Euro. And he has seen, by being assistant coach with Belgium on two World Cups, I think He understands how to suck in the opposition, try and make the team more compact, and then attack on the counters. But one would probably love to hear what Eichmann and Stephen have to say about the Indian coach and what systems can they probably see now, because they are the coaches. They understand what's happening on the field and in terms of the mind. Eichmann, anything on Craig that you can enlighten us with?
Well, I have seen Craig for a long time when he was with Ireland, when he was with Belgium. And I think that those teams always performed with a very good defense, well structured, and were very good in counterattacks. And from there, they grew. But they defend to attack, close their, they are protecting their own goal. And I think that it's a good strategy, especially in modern hockey. If you go all out to attack, they will smash you in the counters. So he also said it's time for to be more effective. More effective means that you keep your own base clean, and there where you can hurt the opponent, you should do it. So I think that that will be what he is aiming at, and that's also the game he always plays.
Stephen, any ideas on the new coach?
Yeah, I guess, I mean, is what Sigi says is true. I mean, when we had Paul Isaac also, I mean, we make sure that our defense was very stable, and we make sure that we are very well structured. And I guess looking at Belgium and Ireland, they are very well structured. You don't get many chances against them because they are well set up. But when they break very well. I guess is when the Indian forwards that you have and the midfielders, if they break fast and they break and coordinate well, they are just as dangerous than putting everybody there and leaving yourself exposed at the back. But it depends on the coach, depending on the players that they have. I mean, there's so much talent in India with all the forwards and midfielders they have. I think they can play a very well structured and defensive game to keep it tight and can catch many teams on the counter because of their individual skills. They can break any team with their combinations, and then they can create short corners, and then you have a good flicker, world class flicker in Amanpreet. So I mean, India is always a dangerous team, and you can see in the Pro League they can beat teams that are there, and then they also struggle with some of the weaker teams.
Stephen, just one more. I just wanted to add to it. I mean, you remember '98 Commonwealth semi-final, India versus Malaysia. You just spoke about Lisek, that entire defensive structure. You guys took so many hits from India at that point of time. India couldn't score a goal, but I think Malaysia pipped us 1-0, probably in the
Yes.
last minutes or so.
Yeah.
So, do you think that kind of a defensive structure that Lisek employed, and maybe Craig might or might not, is that something that a team like Malaysia, India, Pakistan, all of them can probably play for a longer term?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's a culture. It's very difficult to build up players who are that disciplined. I mean, that group of players were very experienced, the Maininajit, the Aslan Baka, the Kuhans and all that. And they were very disciplined, and also the home ground. It's quite difficult to have, but then he always believed in the philosophy of defense wins the game. I mean, we believe that okay, if we can neutralize the strong teams and we can capitalize on our chances, especially I think we scored a winning goal from a penalty corner from Manawan. I mean,
Yeah.
India had so many chances and there are so many penalty corners they couldn't score because our goalkeeper Roslan was on top of his game. And there were so many balls that went across the goal. We rode our luck. But still, when we had a chance, we scored and we managed to win the game.
Romeo James, most Asian teams now they play more from the right than from the left. Now, any reason why, and would you elaborate a little on what system suits India the best?
See, it depends on which team you're playing, and it depends on your players' rotation and what sort of situation you are in. So basically, most of the teams are, except for the European teams are attacking Belgium and all that, start attacking from the left. But we are still from the right. We are still good at it. And when you are good from the right, I think you should be able to go for it. Especially German, when he overlaps from the right, is very dangerous. So we got to take our chances from the right and just. But strategy is always, every for 10 minutes and all. It keeps on changing. It depends on the coach. So I hope so. They keep on doing the same thing.
And a quick opinion on Craig Fulton and the defensive strategy. We need your opinion on it.
See, in defense, as Sandeep has said, that this guy is retired, Surinder, but
Yep.
and the other defenders, I feel Jugraj and all these. Jugraj is a good drag picker, but he's not in good in defense because I've seen him in the local tournaments here for the services, and I've seen him playing against our oil team companies here. So Jugraj's deep defense is really shaky. He's not steady as Surinder, but now he has gone. But we have to look uh, and take the best out of him. Herman and these German and all they're good, and Varun are good deep defenders. So and they were thinking of taking Manpreet back to the deep defense, but now he's in this setup. He's come back again in midfield. So it depends. Again, I hope Juvraj does well, and we can have a good defense in the backward part.
Okay, let's move on to the last bit of the show. We have about close to 4 to 5 minutes left, so I want reactions from all our panelists. Now, the issue is very interesting, which is basically there is a move by FIH, which is looking at a change in penalty corner rules. We have a graphic in place, and I would want our producer to play that now because it would then make it easier for everyone to understand, particularly our viewers. Now, the new suggested rule says the ball must travel outside the 5 meter line, which is outside the D. And this is being considered to protect defenders and give defenders more time to react to situations. So, as you can see on your screen, the first graphic on top is the current situation, and the second one, which is on trial, is the second one. And this is an interesting move because the trials have started from August 2023. In fact, it would just begin now and go on for a year till about May 2024. And the trials will be done in domestic hockey. Now, my first question is that can you really protect the defender in such a situation? And maybe Stephen can take the first crack at it.
Yeah, I mean, I have not really seen it, but I know that now that you have to come out to the dotted line, does it mean that it becomes open play? Does it mean that the first shot of goal you don't have to hit the board? So if we move it fast enough, the forwards move it fast enough, can we undercut the ball? Because the intention, if I read it correctly, was to protect the defenders, and they don't have to wear to cut the time to for shot corner from 40 seconds to 20 seconds because they had to wear the mask and the gloves. But if it's open play and we hit the ball, do we need to sound the ball? Isn't it more dangerous? I mean, because teams will latch on very fast, and they think of ideas how to move the ball quickly, and then they get a direct shot at goal. I mean, that's my view. I mean, this is without going to depth because it just came out. I mean, we haven't even thought about it. Talk about it. Yeah.
Right. Sigi Eichmann, over and above the issue of defenders, now I want to basically ask you that would this require new set pieces as we see in football, and would there be an equivalent to it, or maybe that's reading too much into it?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think if it's this is actually an old situation which returned, and it was totally unsuccessful. That's why we were not doing it. And I think that taking out because this means the direct flick will go out, means you are taking something special out of hockey. And I don't understand because the direct flick, the penalty corner is not dangerous for defenders anymore. Look at the World Cup. How many goals are scored in the out from penalty corners? Yes, in the final matches, the penalty corners were decisive, but out the tournament, if you look at the amount and you see how many were scored, and if you look at the goals, how many were high balls? Only a few, and mostly a strong team against a weak team. So I think that this is a solution for a problem which is not there. And then the penalty corner itself. it will be open play, as Stephen said, and that means that if the teams do it quickly and plays the combination, then you will get more rising shots on the goal. It will
Okay.
be more dangerous. So I think that it might be. But on the other hand, if it would have been so successful, why didn't teams already didn't do it already? Because the opportunity was there. We as coaches tried many things to be more successful with the corner, and some coaches still are trying to stop the ball at the dotted line. But the
Okay.
defenders stay in the D because you can only score from in the D. So that's also why there will not be many uh, great changes or great things
Okay,
because
Siggy.
still to
Siggy,
bring the ball in the
you
D.
made your
Sorry,
point. Let me hop across to Romeo James.
sorry,
Will
sorry.
drag pickers lose their efficacy under this new system if it is implemented? And also, what happens to people like Harmanpreet Singh, who are renowned for their ability to convert penalty strokes?
Yeah, in my opinion, I think this rule is, I think, absurd to me, and I think this was brought up by, I think, 6, 7 years back. Am I right, Sandeep? By Rick
Yeah,
Charlesworth. Rick
yeah,
Charlesworth.
yeah.
I think he was the one who said PC should be abolished. But in my opinion, I think uh, it's a art in itself. Scoreboard. It's been there for long years. Years, I think 30 years back, when uh, Germany and Holland used to rule the track flicking and all, and then Pakistan, Sohail Abbas came, then Indian players and all. I think let them try it out and then let them decide. But in my opinion, it shouldn't be abolished. Thanks.
Sandeep, your point.
No, I somehow don't understand the logic and the reasoning as to why are you bringing in this? Is there a problem with the old one? Honestly, I don't think so. I think the defensive structures are made in such a way, and the coaches, and I think Eichmann and Stephen and Romeo will agree. Defensive structures, when they are there, and when coaches start practicing the penalty corners, they look for gaps. They don't look at hitting the defenders, because then you're not getting it, because then the PC is gone. I think with the gaps out there and with flicks going high into the corners of the net, I don't know why they want to bring this in. Yes, I recall Rick Charlesworth, and I recall Rick Charlesworth even at the Youth Rec World Cup, doing an interview and saying that penalty corner should be taken out because it's too dangerous for the players. I think over a period of time, with the kind of protective gears we have, I don't think it's really required. So let's hope they do all the domestic stuff that they want, and then the panel sits down. And I hope the old one continues, because there is an element of flamboyance to a penalty corner. There is an element of people coming onto the edge of their seats when there's a PC. I think it's an integral part of the game. You can probably do some 1%, 2% variation, but to completely take it away and do this, I don't think it should be done, honestly.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. I thoroughly enjoyed listening to all of you, and my knowledge of hockey has gone up hugely. And I want to really thank all of you, Romeo James, Siki Eichmann,
Thank you.
Stephen Van Housen, and Sandeep, for your participation on this show. And we'll keep coming back to you as the tournament goes on, and also keep an eye when the Asian Games begin. Thank you very much for your time, and to the viewers for watching us. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
You.
Thank you. Bye. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.